the DJI Mini 4K.
Flies exactly like you would expect a DJI product to fly.
A new entry-level drone from DJI. If you are considering getting your first drone, you might pay attention now, as DJI has just released, as per today, a new entry-level drone that is called the DJI Mini 4K. So the Mini 4K is supposed to substitute the Mini 2 SE as the entry-level product. But what makes this release a little bit special is that it will only be available online and will be sold through Amazon for Europe and US. Let's get the pricing out of the way, as this is an entry-level product, so this will of course have a lot of impact to those of you that decide to buy it. The Mini 4K, the drone alone, that would be €299 or $299 US. The full package, which I think this is, that will contain 3 batteries, that will be €439. The corresponding number in US is 449. And it will be available through the links in the description as of today. Now with the Mini 4K on the market, I'm informed that the price of the Mini 2 SE will be discounted at $279 US. So if you can't afford this, then that might be an option too. Let's unpack this and see what's inside. The key specs of this drone is that it's still a mini drone that clocks in below 250 grams. I'd be surprised if it's not a C0 drone, but let's check up on that. It is capable of providing, as we are getting familiar with or getting used to with DJI products, stunning video quality. We will test that out, of course. But we just need to get it unpacked first. It will be capable of delivering through the 1 or 2.3 inch 12 megapixel CMOS sensor. It will be capable of delivering 4K at 30 FPS. It can also do a little bit of slow motion if you reduce the resolution to 2.7K to record in up to 60 FPS. That will allow you to maybe do 2 times slow motion. That can be done in 1080p as well. And all the data is being transferred with a high bitrate of 100 megabit per second. So this is how it looks. So it still has this very nice prop holder. That is super nice. It has some stickers on the rear props. It actually feels a lot like a Mini 2. Which is super nice, as I've wrecked mine. So that's a nice substitute. Maybe I don't need to get that repaired at all. So if I remove those, see, it looks exactly like a Mini 2. Maybe there's a little bit of difference in the plastic here and there, but it is very, very close to the original Mini 2. And you have the C0 marker in the base of the drone. I guess DJI is getting rid of all the old parts. This is exactly the same setup as the Mini 2. So that's super nice. So now I have a new Mini 2 drone to compensate for the one that I wrecked. So, as I said, the camera sensor, that is well known. It's the 1 or 2.3 inch CMOS sensor that we know that clocks in images at 12 megapixel. So it's definitely not going to revolutionize the world, but you have to still recognize, at least as far as I've seen reflying my old Mini 2, it actually produces some quite decent and crisp images as well as video. As long as you don't challenge it during low light, where this tiny sensor struggles a bit. Sticky stickies. Get rid of all the sticky stickies. So what else do we have in here? Yeah, we have the remote. And this is no fancy screens here. So this is the old-fashioned remote, where we have the sticks here. They are tucked nicely away in the base. And they screw in like this. I wonder when DJI will make a system where the sticks they can stay on. I've seen that from other manufacturers, where you simply just, you just put down the sticks and lock them into a position, and then you can take them out. This screwy thing here seems like a really old-fashioned approach. You have the possibility to plug in the phone here in the top. So you still need to use your phone to operate this one, and that goes under here. So, and then it's being hooked up with a cable to the controller. Then we have the charging hub. It's like coming home. I had such a good time with my Mini 2 back in the days. That's for sure. That was a really, really brilliant drone when that was released. A lot ahead of its time. And here we have a fully discharged set of batteries. And this is of course what we need to do as the first part here, is that we need to put everything up on charge, and then we need to go out and take it for a test flight. So we have all the instructions here that we usually get. We have a bucket load of extra props, which we in this case actually need because there are no sensors on the drone apart from the two IR sensors in the base that will protect the drone when you are out flying. So we need those extra props in case that we come into close contact with something and need to replace them. And there's a screwdriver for the purpose as well. There are two cables that will allow you to hook up an Android and iOS phone. And there's a charging cable. There's no charger included, which I actually think was part of the original kit. But it seems this is the new policy that chargers are not being included. The flight time is as expected in the range of the mini drones. It's estimated for 31 minutes, which we know is not going to be anywhere near the real life performance, but this is still an indicator where we are level wise. So I would expect we get something like 20 to 25 minutes out of this drone, depending on the weather and the flying style that I'm performing. Of course, you will have the compatibility with this one. You can't use the smart controller as far as I can see from the specs with this one, but you will have access to the smart features, which will help you out, especially if you're a beginner. So you have the possibility to do quick shots. Panorama is the one tap takeoff and landing, and then there's the smart return to home. So when everything is charged, I will take it out in the open for a test flight, and then I will include some of the stuff that you're getting with this drone. And let's hope that it will be possible for me to do it without running into all sorts of issues. Maybe I should find another location to do this than the usual spot in the parking lot where I have been subjected to a lot of stuff here lately. They would likely, I don't know, if they will get over here and talk to me.
Det ser så spændende ud. Jeg er nødt til at spørge, hvad er det, I laver?
Jeg er jo kun mig. So now everything is charged. So what I will do now is I will fire up everything just here in the office before we take it outside for a test flight. So we start by plugging in the battery, like this. Then we are going to take the DJI Fly app that's currently running here on an iOS device. I did check what was delivered with the drone, and it seems if you pull up here, there is an extra cable inside here. So you basically have three cables available. One that goes to a lightning connector that will allow me to connect to the iOS DJI Fly app. There's one that is a USB-C to USB-C that will allow me to connect to one of the newer Android phones. And then there's one with a micro USB connector that will allow me to hook it up to a legacy Android phone. So the next thing that we're gonna do here is we're gonna take the phone and then we're gonna slide it into this holder like this. And then we're gonna plug in the cable here on the side. So everything is nicely organized. If you have an Android phone, you just switch to one of the other appropriate cables and then make sure that you connect the end of the cable here, especially with USB-C to USB-C. There's an indicator on the end of the cable that needs to go into the controller. So once that is plugged in, we can fire up everything. And we do that by short press, long press. It's like standard procedure for DJI products, short press, long press. And before you get to that point, you need to log into the DJI Fly app with your credentials or create a DJI account if you not already have one. And when we're getting in here, the first thing that we need to do is we need to activate the product. So I press activate. This is a very important time when you activate the product because you have 48 hours to buy your DJI Care Refresh and bind it to the product. Are you exceeding this timeline? You can still get the DJI Care Refresh, but you need to provide video evidence to DJI that the drone is still in one piece. It's much easier if you want to go for the DJI Care Refresh to do that within the first 48 hours. So let's see, this is new. You need to register your National Aviation Authority number once you have registered as a drone operator, blah, 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 blah. That's basically what you need to do if you're in the EU flying under the EASA drone regulations. You need to register yourself as a drone operator, and then you need to sort of put the sticker on top of the drone. And lucky me, I have a few pre-printed stickers here that I can use. So I can simply go and put the label on top of the aircraft. So, as you can see, right now I have my drone operator ID as a label on top of my drone. Then we press OK, and then it says find more flight safety info before you fly later on the home screen. So that's basically as simple as it is to activate the product and get ready to get started. And because I got the product prior to release, there is like a very secret firmware update available that I need to install first. So when you hook everything up for the first time, it's kind of expected that you're being prompted to go and install an updated firmware. You always need to make sure that you have the latest and greatest firmware before you go out and fly. One of the things that I want to make sure that we have under control is that we have selected a SD card for the drone, and I'm using this SanDisk Extreme Pro, which is the 128 gigabyte version. So I will just take one of those and make sure that this is mounted in the drone. So we have something to store our recordings when we are out flying. 128 gigabyte is a really good level, amount of storage to bring. You can have a lot of footage onto that card before you run out of space. You take the card and then you keep the side with the writing on against yourself. Then you simply slide it in and push like this, and then it's locked into position. Another thing that I want to see is I have my Mini 2 here. That suffered quite a fate here a while back. You can see it's kind of broken. And that means that I would basically have a set of ND filters available from this drone. And it would be interesting to see if I could use that kit along with the DJI Mini 4K. So instead of repairing my old DJI Mini 2, I can salvage some of the parts from it, at least the batteries and stuff. And then I have plenty of batteries for this one. I have this trusty set of filters from Freewell. Let me just take the drone here in a firm grip. And then put on a filter. Yeah, see? Actually, so it seems the drone is compatible with the filters from my old Mini 2. So that's super cool. That will save you some investment if you already have a kit of those filters laying around. So I'll get the firmware sorted and then I will see you outside. Let's just plug in a fresh battery to make sure that everything is like it's supposed to be. One short press, one long press. And before we take off, we want to make sure that we are recording in the best possible resolution that this drone can do. So we put it up in the 4K and we are using 30 FPS. I'm not using any filters today because I want to show you exactly what the footage looks like out of the drone without any additional glass in front of the camera. It is a little bit windy today, so I will just make sure that we are not running into too much issues here. But this is how the footage looks like. 4K 30 FPS. Without any filters in front. You can play around with all the other resolutions, where some of them you will have a chance to bump it up to 60 FPS, which will give you the possibility to introduce a degree of slow motion. Let's just bring it down here. So, see, I'm down here. So if I just bring the drone down here, just for a short while here, we can stop the video here. And I can actually also show you that you have
when it's in 4K 30 FPS, you have the option to introduce 2x digital zoom. So that's a nice option if you want to film objects but don't want to get too close by. It is digital stabilization, so you will lose a little bit of quality in the process. Let's just do a comparison here. So if we take this, so let's do 5 seconds here. So this is 5 seconds without any zoom. So now we are putting in some zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. And it's being tossed around out there because it's actually pretty windy. So now we can move down to 2.7K, and that will unlock some additional frame rates. So let's just try out the 60 here, and we can bring the drone a little bit closer, like this. And then we can start the recording, and I can run by. So you can see now I can slow this footage down by a factor 2 or 50%, and in that way get slow motion. So these are basically the options that you have when you're talking video. You can bump it down to 1080p as well if you want to save some space on your memory card, but that will not give you a higher frame rate as that one maxes out at 60 FPS as well. You can take photos with the 12 megapixel sensor that's in here. You have the option to take a single photo like this. You can do a AEB where you get one image that's overexposed, one that's underexposed, and one that's neutral exposed. You have the option to do time shots. So in this way, the drone will take an image for every 5 seconds. So and you can just stop that randomly here on the button if you don't want that to continue. You have the option down here to select if you only want JPEG images or you want JPEG plus RAW in case that you want to do some post-processing by yourself. That's very useful. I normally use JPEG plus RAW to give me the maximum possibilities in post. Apart from this, we have access to a panorama mode here. That will help you expand the photo capabilities of your drone. So let's just start by taking a single photo here, just for the comparison. So that's a single photo. Then if I jump into the panorama mode, I have the option to do 9 individual images and stitch those to one single image. And that will expand sort of the range or the capabilities of the sensors quite a lot. Let's just do that and make sure that we have the JPEG plus RAW. So now the drone will automatically work the gimbal up and down, take 9 photos, and then they will stitch it to one single photo. And I will just show them here side by side, and you can see you capture a lot more of your surroundings if you're using that technique. Other options for the panorama is that you can have like a 180-degree panorama that basically takes 3 images next to each other. So takes one image, turns, takes one, and then it takes another one. It's a little bit more than 3 images. I guess that's why it's called 180, because it takes enough images to cover the full range of 180 degrees. And in that way, you can generate a panorama image that is 180 degrees. But you can also do like a spherical image. Probably not going to work because we have such a high wind as it is right now. But it basically takes images in a sphere and try to cover a full spherical image. The drone stitches those automatically, and you can use those directly on Facebook. They look a little bit odd when you see them at once, but once you get them onto Facebook, they will be like just a square, and then you can zoom around and explore the images to see what it is that has been recorded for a single image. This drone is not going to revolutionize the drone business with a lot of advanced functionalities, but it does have all the base functionality that you need to do something really, really cool. It might take you a while to learn to fly all the fancy stuff that you are seeing people are doing, but you do have access to some pretty simple flight modes that are available on the drone. And those are called quick shots. If we go under quick shots here, you can see that you have basically 5 options. You have a drone, you have a rocket, you have a circle, you have a helix, and you have a boomerang. And all of those can be used for different purposes. But let's just take the boomerang just for the sake of it. And you can see that I'm already selected. And the only thing that I need to select is sort of the direction that I want to go. So we just keep it at that. So right now it's executing an automated quick shot. And in this case, it's a boomerang, so it basically does what a boomerang does, is that it goes out and then it comes back. And it's super nice. The boomerang is, of course, kind of self-explaining that because it's a boomerang, it will come back to the same position where it left. So let's say that I want to do a drone, so I take a drone. And I need to select myself here, and I want the drone to go 40 meters back, and then I press start. So what happens now, it backs away while it ascends, and then it's recording automatically at the same time. So it's really ideal to use these quick shots if you're a beginner. So now it's doing its thing, and then once it's done, it's being blown away. The drone will simply return to the position where you started the quick shot. So that's a pretty smart feature, I must say. It's a shame it's such a bad weather today, because I could do a lot of nice recordings, but I don't have the time for it because the drone is going out to you guys tomorrow. So you have these 5 quick shots that you can mess around with. I have a few things in the user interface that I want to show you, because you might notice that I have something on the screen like this histogram, and I also have these lines. All of that can be enabled from within the camera menu. Here I have the option to set some grid lines that will allow me to make better composition of my footage. I have also the overexposure warnings, which are the zebra stripes that you sometimes see on the screen. Let me just show you those. If I do the manual exposure here and I on purpose overexpose it, you can see zebra stripes are starting to appear on the car and everywhere. That is basically a tool that will help you to determine if the exposure of your image is correct. The same with the histogram that you have over here. That one you can also enable, or you can disable it, and that's a graphical representation of the exposure of your image. And what you basically want, you want an image where this chart that is in inside this square here is sort of centered towards the middle. That will give you a nice exposure where the dark areas are not too dark and the high areas are not clipped, which is pretty hard to recover if you work with the footage in post. These are basically the things that you're getting with this setup. There's also an option if you have like low battery on your phone, which most of us smartphone users have all the time. You can jump under control, and if you jump under down here, there's actually an option to enable phone charging, and in this way you can use the big battery that's inside the remote to give your phone some extra charge so you don't run out of battery in the middle of an operation. Apart from that system, you're not getting access to all the fancy bells and whistles here on this, because this is an entry-level drone. You can see that we are running the 1.13.2. That is the DJI Fly app that I'm currently using, and I'm using the firmware 01070400. Those will likely change once you order the product, as these are pre-released versions of both app and firmware. So those are the features that you'll be getting with the DJI Mini 4K. So with the GoPro out of battery, luckily I have another camera on the drone that I can use to finish off this video. The Mini 4K is only being available in the US and in Europe through the Amazon store. And you can see the pricing listed in the description below, as well as purchase links where you can pick it up. It will not be available outside these regions. If you have any additional questions for the product, then let me know in the comments below and I will do a follow-up video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.